Before we jump in, a quick invitation. The 2026 JNS International Policy Summit is coming up this April, April the 15th through 17th, once again at the Waldorf Astoria in Jerusalem. I'll be there and I really hope you'll join us too. You can visit jns-summit.org to register and to see the speaker lineup. It's an exceptional group this year. I look forward to meeting you in Jerusalem this April. Rabbi Shalom Myers and his wife Lynn live in Jerusalem and have devoted themselves to helping soldiers, religious soldiers, chayalim and chayalot, men and women serving in the Israel Defense Forces. Welcome to the JNS Jerusalem studio to both of you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank
Rabbi
you.
Myers, tell us a little bit about all the good work that you do, which a lot of people don't even know about.
We started a shul, AMEC Learning Center, an English-speaking shul, 13 years ago, and almost immediately was introduced to the English-speaking lone soldiers, and I was asked to host them once a month. We host them in our house or in the shul, about 20 to 30 soldiers once a month. After a few months, the religious soldiers, English-speaking religious soldiers, said, we need a place where we feel very comfortable, a place of growth. And they said I should start this. So I thought about it and then I started it. And we started working with the English-speaking religious lone soldiers, which means they are generally from America, South Africa, or England, the United Kingdom. And we arranged for them meals, we arranged for them homes, we arranged apartments with furniture. And as time went by, for quite a few years, we're giving them advice on post-army, how to fit into Israel society. And about 3 years later, there are a few combat units of Haredi soldiers, that is ultra-Orthodox, who've left their communities and often their families to join the IDF, and they asked me to volunteer there. And I started to volunteer. They're giving a lecture once a week. And as time went by, that grew more and more till all their finances were depleted. And now I finance the whole, about 300 or 400 soldiers per year at any one time, where we have the rabbis going in to give them lectures, a lot of counseling, Shabbatot on the base or in Jerusalem. And we help them also after the army with academic studies. So we really are their father and mother. This is the lone soldiers and now the Israeli Haredi soldiers.
And Lynn Myers, you're a full partner, obviously, in this initiative, but you also focus a lot on women soldiers.
Right. So my involvement with the AMEC Lone Soldiers was just, the Shabbos meals and helping set up apartments. And I wasn't really involved in anything until the war broke out on Simchat Torah, October 7th. And 3 of our sons were called immediately into reserves. And it was terrifying. And exactly a month after the war started, my husband was asked to go make a barbecue at one of the bases. And we tried to get to our kids, but we couldn't get to the one in the north. We couldn't get to the one near the south, but one we could get to. And we went then, had a barbecue, and I saw that the girls were not part of the barbecue. They were on the side. So this was the big decision I made, whether I should go talk to them. And I did. And these were surveillance girls, and they had lost friends on October 7th, and they had friends taken hostage. And that was the beginning, because then I said, I want to come back. And we went back 2 weeks later. I went with friends, and we made up toiletry bags and took them thermals, and we made a sushi party. And that's how it all started.
And now, more than 2 years later, you seem to have devoted yourselves 24/7 almost, except for Shabbat, or sometimes including Shabbat, to this just incredible cause, but you've done a lot of it under the radar without publicity. And I realize I'm taking you out of your comfort zone and into the spotlight here, but what's it been like in the last more than 2 years since October 7th?
It's been extremely inspirational, rewarding, because you are dealing with the most needy people in a society. First, you've got lone soldiers, and then you've got Haredi soldiers, and then you've got female soldiers, combat soldiers. The war is stressful for everybody. For these three groups, it's even more so. And you also come across a number of needs, if it's gear, if it's any kind of gear, if it's food, if it's counseling, if it's resilience, mental health. And you realize the army is doing what it can do. It certainly can't do everything. So where the soldiers, you've got a connection with them. We have done almost everything we possibly can for them in mental health, in their studies, in the Shabbatonim, in bringing them stuff, in being in touch with their parents overseas or being in touch with their parents over here. So it's been very, very time consuming, but extremely rewarding, because you really feel you are doing something and you're making an impact on a lot of people's lives.
Lynn, you, among other things, collect all kinds of things for soldiers, care packages, etc., and you also hold events. And I know you recently held a very successful event. Tell us about that.
So people just started, when they heard we were going to bases, they just started sending stuff from all over the world. And sort of I worked out a list of things that would be optimal for the girls. And then we had bought bags, and we packaged them. We get people to come help. The big part of the bags is the personal card that gets written. And the events, we have just had our 81st event, which was incredible. It was with a group of seminary girls that came, and it was a huge event. And the whole purpose of this, I feel, is to show unity, to show support. These young women, really the best years they are giving to Am Yisrael. They're helping us, and I feel like we really need to help them wherever we can. And it's not just going to an event and having a great time with them, dancing, singing, and having a challah bake. We make connections with the girls, so we get to speak to girls, we get their numbers, especially lone soldiers that are there. I'm talking about only women now. And I've kept long, contacts with them, and then we have them over, or I take them out. And if there's anything they need, and it could be something very simple, it could be they need a vest or they need a helmet, and then we do our best to help them.
Rabbi Myers?
Well, I think what we need to add is that we've done a number of weddings for indigent lone soldiers, both male and female, because you see that they're making a wedding, they want to get married. These are all people who fought for the country, and they have not got the means. And then, you raise money. People are very generous. And this has been very, very personally rewarding to be able to help people at this critical time, even with their weddings. And we go to their weddings, and we help furnish their homes, and we help also pay for the weddings.
I mean, you mentioned raise funds, and I'm sure people who are watching will ask themselves, so where do you get the funds from?
Well, we get all our funds from donors. We do not get any government money, not from the military, not from the government, not from the city council. It's not because we don't want to, it's just because it's quite labor intensive, and it's connections. And I'm sure if you work at it, but I find that I can connect with individual people as well. And we're obviously a charity recognized in Israel and in America. We are 501c3 AMEK, E-M-E-K, Lone Soldiers. At the moment, the Chayalim and the Chayalot, it's one Amuta, it's one charity, both in Israel and in America. So we've been very fortunate that people have been very generous. And the result is that we're able to do a lot of things for a lot of soldiers. We, give lectures, over 300 per year. I employ 3 other rabbis. We've got night classes for them. We go obviously to the base for Shabbat. We have in our shul, we have a morning yeshiva for the post-army soldiers. We have one on Thursday night. And my wife's now trying to arrange accommodation for about 60 to 80 religious women combat soldiers. And I have a lot of experience in it, and this is a building of a whole place for it. And I'm confident that, it'll take a bit of time that we'll be able to do this, because this is a real need, and caring for these soldiers almost from the beginning of their service right to the end, and even a year or two afterwards.
So let's just be clear about your dream, which is to build 2 separate places for both men and women soldiers.
Correct.
And how far have you gotten in realizing this dream?
Well, we have got far to know that this is the way to go. Somebody who has rented apartments for the last 10 years, there's a lot of downside in small apartments. You haven't got a scale. You can't give them the food they need. They're dependent on a lot of, literally hand-to-mouth solutions. Whereas if you have a proper place for them, we've got the whole plan worked out. We even found a building, and now we are trying to raise the money for that building. So that is our dream. And once we have that building, that can be used for, let's say, the women's building for mental health, resilience seminars. It's possible once you've got a place that besides the usage is mainly the girls live there, but they're only back when they're on active duty every 2nd week or every 3rd week. During the week, there's hardly anybody there. Same for the male soldiers. So you've got an almost empty building to use for the soldiers who are in reserve, and they need help, and they need resilience, they need guidance, they need adaptation to civilian life. So we've got the idea, we've got the buildings in place, we need to now raise the money. So we are far along, just the money needs to be raised.
If I can just say that I think that I certainly wasn't aware and learned a tremendous amount over these last 2 years, and that is there were a lot of women that would normally be doing Sheirut Leumi, national service, and they've now opted to go and do the army. And a lot of lone women soldiers, from America, South Africa, England, wherever, Canada, they have also opted to come to the army, and they want to be combat. So when these women come back Erev Shabbat, and then they don't have where to shop. It's like so late already. So if you have a building of like 60 women, there may be 15 or 20 that would be together for Shabbat, which makes a big difference. But if there's also in a community that is supportive, that will help, that we'll have in place, that the community will take care of these girls as well, and that the girls themselves will support each other. It's like very important, because the combat girls, they're a certain kind of soldier, and they need to help each other.
Yeah. If we can just zoom out for a little bit, a lot of people don't know how many ultra-Orthodox Haredi religious soldiers serve in the army. And in fact, it's sort of a controversial issue because of all the legislation. From your perspective, how many people are we talking about?
I don't know in the different, because there are different parts of the army, and there are units all the time, but we deal with those in Golani and in Tzanchanim, and we are now
paratroopers.
The paratroopers is 2 infantry units, and also Hashmonaim. I don't know the exact numbers. It used to be we were in touch with about at any one point about 350 soldiers. Now it's about 450 to 500 soldiers at any one time, and that's not even reservists.
Right.
Now, I must say one thing about this. A lot of the Haredi soldiers have come from a situation where their family supports them. It might not be full on support, but they are understanding. And others, the family does not support them, and they have to become lone soldiers. So they're making a double sacrifice that they're going to the army, difficult as it is, and there's no family to support them, and they've got to be on their own. And, the amount of impact and of help and of compassion that you can give them is absolutely enormous, because their contribution is ultimate. And also after the army is their adaptation to civilian life is going to be harder. So we've helped to establish educational programs where they can be tested and go to university or college to the best of their ability. So I'm very thankful that I've been given that opportunity to see it all the way through in these areas.
And if people want to know more about what you do and would like to contribute, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, thank you very much. We have a website, EMEK Loan Soul, EMEK, where you can donate, you can find, you can get our details, you can contact us. If it works out when you come to Israel, we can take you to the base. You can see what we do for the men. We can take you to the women's base. My wife always takes people to most bases which are not high security. She can take even foreigners to the base to see what we do and interact with these soldiers. And that's highly recommended. You can actually see the people who are doing this. And that is very moving for everybody.
Obviously, people listening can hear your accents. Tell us a little bit about your background and your family. Lynn, would you like to start?
Okay, we both come from Cape Town. We made Aliyah in 1985 and been blessed with a large family, which we've raised in Israel. And the husband came as an accountant. I'm a qualified architect, and I ran my own practice for 40 years.
And what motivated you both to shift from your original professions to what you're doing now?
My profession, from an accountant to a rabbi, was a gradual process. I always was involved in rabbinics ever since I came back from yeshiva after high school and I went to study university. I was always running shuls and being the reverend of shuls. And then I got more into it as time went by. And then I worked independently as an accountant in Israel at night. And I kept on studying for a number of years till I changed to rabbinics. And then this new stage of dealing with the soldiers is something which, we don't believe in serendipity. We believe it's hashgacha. There's a divine plan that perhaps I was the right man, or wife was the right woman at the right time at the right place. That when all these things we were asked to do, we did them, and we found that we've got unique abilities and background to help these lone soldiers, Haredi soldiers, female soldiers, and it is overwhelming because there's so many and the need is so great, but we are very thankful to be able to do it.
And I'm guessing that October 7th obviously triggered you to work at this full-time, dedicate yourselves to this. What has been the highlight for both of you from, I know it was a very traumatic event, but you have done so much good work. What has been the highlight for you in your last couple of years?
I don't know how to put it. I planned on retiring. I didn't plan on starting an organization, and it happened organically. And it has been tremendously rewarding, and I feel it carried me through the war. To focus on doing good for these soldiers. That really helped me focus on something positive, because it was a tough time. Let's face it. Yeah. And it is miraculous. What's been a high point for me is that I've met the most incredible people that I would never, ever have met if this hadn't had happened. And we see the tremendous generosity of people all over the world. And every time that we give things out, things come back. That's how it goes.
Rabbi Myers?
I think the highlight has been when I've been on the base. I get very emotional. Dealing with the paratroopers, I'm went many, many times down to the Otef Aza, the perimeter of Gaza. Before the soldiers went in, we made a barbecue, we spoke to them, we encouraged them, you know. And when they came back, and we came back and we had the barbecue and we spoke about their events and we took videos of them. And when I think about that, that was extremely fragile time for everybody. And I'm glad I was there for that. And then you have Shabbatons on the base and you have Shabbatons in Jerusalem, and you really get to hang out with them. And you see that this is so amazing what they are doing, that we are not only living history, they are making history. And in the military is a very, very large amount of people, and a percentage who actually go to the front line and we're in Gaza is very small. I don't know what percentage, it's a very small percentage. And I'm dealing with that percentage all the time. Mm-hmm. Those who were on the front lines, with their life in danger, they lost friends, they were injured, their friends were injured, and you actually speak to them and you can touch them and you can, share their experience and feel fulfilled that you are in a very historic time and historic moments.
So as a rabbi, what have you learned and what is your message to our viewers all over the world?
My message is that there's a divine plan. There's a plan of the Almighty, which you can't always see, but we know He's there. I'll give you a story. There was a person that I know, a rabbi, and his son became less religious. And he pursued a career, and he was an officer in the army. And he came back in the middle of the war, and he said to his father, Dad, his father's a rabbi, do you believe in God? His father says, of course. He said to his father, I don't believe in God. I saw God. In other words, you see so many miracles and you see so many most wondrous things of saving, of behavior, of what we call hashgacha pratit, that this is the time when you can open up your heart and know that we are being guided, and we've got to take those moments and take those things and channel them into good and purposeful ends.
And Lynn, as we approach the end of the interview, what are your words? What is your message to people watching?
I'm very grateful for everything, and I just hope that everybody will continue to realize that there are these chayalot, these women soldiers in the army, and what they are doing for us. And they will continue to support us in this really, as my husband says, very historic time. But we knew early on this wasn't just a war project. This is something that we have to carry on with and help the women, because they are combat. A lot of them are in combat, not saying all of them, but let's just say they are more behind the scenes than the men. Mm-hmm. And they need support.
Final words, Rabbi Myers?
Steve, I want to thank you for inviting us, to bringing us out of our anonymity at some level. And it was a pleasure to speak to you. And I hope we were able to convey what we are doing, and people can see that there's work for everybody to contribute of their time, of their knowledge, of their resources, because in the foreseeable future, we are going to have a military. And the military is always a challenging time, even in peacetime, challenging time to be there. It's different to civilian life, and people need the support. And if they know they've got our support, it makes their job a lot lighter.
Rabbi Shalom Myers and Lynn Myers, thank you so much for joining us in the JNS studio.
Thank you.